That's why the United Nations has organizations within it that have extreme spiritual goals, the Temple of Understanding and all of these, and the United Nations trapezoid prayer room and all of the issues that go along with that. This is an illumination, but it is actually Luciferian at its base.
Yeah, and I think we can actually take our audience through finding out how they can arrive at these conclusions themselves. So we've looked a little bit about what the Great Reset is, and now we've kind of put in our crosshairs here what organization we really want to look at as we kind of pull apart the pieces for this episode. Is we're going to look at the United Nations. I think it's an organization that generally people around the world see as a harmless kind of global governing guidance, general good for people. But what we see is there's actually a lot of history to this organization. There's actually a lot of interesting architecture in the UN facilities. And so we're going to look a little bit deeper inside of the UN and start to help you, the viewer, the listener, understand how we can confidently say there is a very spiritual component to the UN. And we're going to look a little bit deeper at what that is by first starting with the head of the UN, current Secretary General, Antonio Guterres. And we find that Guterres is actually a Roman Catholic, number one, a devout Roman Catholic who has a very special relationship with Pope Francis, but he's also used to be the head and president of an organization called Socialist International. And when we read more and more of this language about the Great Reset, you get very, very socialist overtones. And there's going to be people on some sides of the political spectrum that are going to roll their eyes at this. But let's just use their own language to determine where they sit. And let's look at their prior credentials. For instance, in Guterres' case, that when you're the president of a society called Socialist International, there isn't much speculation or conjecture needed to say that the preferred form of governance for this individual, head of the UN currently, is absolutely socialism. And he actually gives us a quote about his views on the Great Reset, where he said, "The Great Reset is a welcome recognition that this human tragedy must be a wake-up call. We must build more equal, inclusive, and sustainable economies and societies that are more resilient in the face of pandemics, climate change, and the many other global changes we face." So we hear, now through Trudeau, through Bush, through Schwab, we see this world is inequitable. We need to be more inclusive. We see the climate change narrative. But he's got a friend in this whole thing. He's got a friend, Al Gore, who has aligned with the UN on many of these things, who spoke about the Great Reset as well, where he said, "I think this is a time for a great reset. We've got to fix a lot of these problems, capitalism, that have been allowed to fester for way too long." So we're seeing the world leaders are very uniformly in agreement with what the problem is, and we see that it's capitalism, and what capitalism has led to, which is inequality, injustice, unbalanced economic and social characteristics for different groups of people, marginalized groups of people. But I'd like to actually go deeper into the United Nations and really start to understand what this organization is, where it came from, and look at the founders of this particular group that has now and is quickly becoming a global governing body. Mackenzie, why don't you walk us through some of what we know about the founding members of the United Nations, which used to be, of course, the League of Nations?
So there's a couple interesting things going on there with the United Nations. They're founded in 1919. The forerunner was, as you said, the League of Nations, which that's an important point, because you'll see who, in order to find the founders of the United Nations, you need to understand the founders of the League of Nations. This is from the UN's website. So I'm quoting the United Nations website. The forerunner of the United Nations was the League of Nations, an organization conceived in similar circumstances during the First World War and established in 1919 under the Treaty of Versailles to promote international cooperation and to achieve peace and security. So what we get from here is that the League of Nations was the precursor to the United Nations. So who was involved in forming the League of Nations? One of the founders of the League of Nations, his name was Arthur Balfour. He was also a member of Hort's Apostles. Now, who is Hort? And Walter, could you give us a little more background on Arthur Balfour and who this Hort is, and how they're connected into the League of Nations and now what we see as the United Nations?
Well, Westcott and Hort were the two that created the new Greek document on which the modern translations of the Bible are based. And there is a lot of speculation that these people weren't really Protestant at all. After all, Hort was a self-proclaimed Mariologist, which doesn't very well fit into the Protestant thinking. He was also in line with Roman Catholicism in terms of the Eucharist. And both Westcott and Hort were deeply involved in spiritualism. They were evolutionists. So the evidence seems to point to the fact that these individuals were clandestine Jesuits posing as Protestants to bring about an agenda where the Bible can be used, especially in terms of the new translations based on their rendition of the Greek text, that it could be used to favor Roman Catholic doctrine over Protestant doctrine. Hi YouTube, I'm Walter Veith from Amazing Discoveries. If you'd like to learn more or you would like to subscribe, then visit our webpage, donate, share, and we would like to hear from you.